Dan is a public servant here who lives and breathes Los Angeles, his own words. He is a political aide during the day, a writer during the wee hours of the night, and he is also an actor by trade. After he's spoken with all of you, I will be coming back once more real quick to wrap up our evening, give you our final tally amount. Yeah, it'll be real swell. And here's Dan.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. You ready to close it out, guys? All right. Rainbow fabric is not often an indicator of strength, but sometimes it is. Rainbow fabric is not often found among straight politicians in the corridors of power, but sometimes it is. Sometimes these things do happen, and I will tell you of the most recent time, which is May 31st, 2017, at Los Angeles City Hall. I am an openly gay man, openly interested in politics, and in Los Angeles in 2017, that means that I get to work for an openly gay politician, and sometimes we do openly gay things. Like drape the Los Angeles City Council chambers in rainbow fabric. June is LGBT Pride Month in the United States, and though our president may be content to ignore it, at Los Angeles City Hall, we celebrate it. City Hall is not the likeliest building in the world to be draped in rainbow fabric. It was built in 1923, and it stands 453 feet tall. It's a structure of marble columns, imposing arches, and it's built with material from across the entire state of California. The might of the Pacific and the majesty of the Sierra Nevada have a piece of City Hall. Some people know it as the Superman building, and it's pictured on every single badge worn by the officers of the Los Angeles Police Department. Strength. This building is strong. City Hall is the world's largest base-isolated structure, which helps protect it from falling down in an earthquake. Though the ground can and will shake, the building is built in such a way that essentially isolates it from the rumbling underneath. City Hall is susceptible to shaking, so it's constructed to withstand a major seismic event. Vulnerable. The building is vulnerable. Every major law, decision, demonstration, plan approval, public hearing, or element of civic life happens within its arches or in sight of its columns, but City Hall can only stand tall because it acknowledges its vulnerabilities. On January 17th, 1994, at 4:30 in the morning, a 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck Los Angeles, and though it was centered in Northridge, it reverberated to the south and to the east, all the way downtown to the seat of civic strength, City Hall. The Northridge earthquake was the catalyst for a retrofit of City Hall from 1998 to 2001 that made it stronger. Were the earthquake to happen today, in 2017, the building would shake and it would slide, but it would stay standing because it is strong and vulnerable at the same time. Now, as City Hall stood in danger of falling down or falling apart, an entire continent away, I was in danger of succumbing to the same fate. My own major seismic event. I don't remember exactly where I was or what I was doing when I heard the word faggot for the first time, but my age numbered in the single digits and the word was directed at me. That was the first of many such experiences. Bullying, insults, intimidation, abject despair. These were staples of my youth, the ground upon which I was built. These are the elements that are poured into my foundation. Being skinny with a big head and big ears did not help things either. For me, self-esteem or self-worth or self-love, these were concepts that were as shaky as the ground underneath City Hall. I can remember being in sixth grade and realizing I found other boys attractive. It seemed totally normal to me, as did my reaction to it. Danny, you better hide this with whatever strength you can muster. It was an autumn day in 7th grade when I put the pieces together for the first time. For what it's worth, I realized I was gay while I was sitting on the toilet, which is an appropriate metaphor for thinking that my life had gone into the shitter. I realized that the insults were not just empty insults. I actually was the terrible things for which I had been mocked and made fun of. I can draw a straight line from being called faggot at 9 to acknowledging myself as gay at 12. That's the ground on which I'm built. Vulnerable. I am built on very vulnerable ground. My foundation was not built to be base isolated, so the ground beneath me could shake, but I could remain secure. As my body shot up through puberty like a tower stretching into the sky, the only security I had was knowing how awful, how wrong, how unattractive, how unacceptable I was, all because of being gay. This way of life defied logic at times. I had gay friends. I did a lot of musical theater, and I'm putting the emphasis on a lot during that time. But I fought to stay firm, in a manner of speaking. No way would I ever, ever, ever share or accept this. This continued for years and years, up until I was 18 years old, freshman year at NYU. NYU, where the straight men are the minority. It's true. And I told myself, you will always be alone. You will never be loved. And you cannot do anything about it because you are gay and you are weak. 18 years old, but I might as well have still been 9. And it sounds melodramatic now, but I cannot emphasize enough how dead, how defeated my sexuality made me feel before I even really truly got started in life. It was right around this time, however, that life and the institutions of life, like college and friendship, began to provide me with the tools that I needed to fight back against this, to pull myself up. I had been battered and I had been bruised by my first series of earthquakes, but maybe, just maybe, and unexpectedly, I had a chance to retrofit myself and be better prepared moving forward. I made new friends, the best friends. You want to make friends, real friends, you got to be willing to love. You want to love, you better be willing to open yourself up. And it is an interesting thing about opening up and exposing yourself and letting your guard down. You know, we think of people sometimes who are open and sensitive as weak. Oh, that person cries a lot, they're super sensitive, what a baby. It really couldn't be further from the truth. Opening up, sensitivity, vulnerability, this requires strength. I was built on vulnerable ground. There are a lot of cracks in my foundation. The ground beneath me and the world around me shakes, and I have been knocked down because of it. But I'm still standing. I'm still here. Strength. I am strong because I've been vulnerable, because I am vulnerable. And my building is standing the test of time anyway. So, this past May 31st, City Hall, also strong and vulnerable at the same time. There I am, seated in the middle of City Council chambers at our Pride Month celebration. I had on my suspenders a rainbow pin in a room decorated in rainbow fabric. It was pretty gay. I was playing the piano in a celebration of gay people in which the straight people had some of the nicest things to say. Straight politicians. And I thought, how the fuck did I get here? The little kid who was a faggot at 9, who was actually gay at 12, who was destined to be alone at 18, who begrudgingly came out at 20. That kid was going to be the one to someday sit in this great cathedral of civic life to not only declare, I'm gay, but to be celebrated for it? Strength. It took a lot of strength to get to that place. There was a very, very long period of my life where I never could have imagined being openly gay, let alone sitting in a rainbow pin surrounded by rainbow fabric in front of hundreds of supportive people. And I had an epiphany that day. If I can get through all of that and stand tall and be strong because of it and end up in this place, I can do fucking anything, man. What else can I do? What else can we do? We are all built with the capacity to be base isolated. We all have cracks in our foundation. The ground shakes underneath us. Lord knows the world shakes around us. But we can continue to stand tall in spite of it. How are we going to do that? By opening ourselves up, by being vulnerable. Because you're strong and you're vulnerable at the same time. This is a dark time. I often think, especially working in public service, who and what and where are we going to be when we get through whatever this period is? I have to believe that we are being tested. This is a test. I know that it is. We are being tested so we can make ourselves stronger in some way. We're being tested to remain open and vulnerable so we can get that strength. At one of the entrances to City Hall, it's on the Spring Street side if you ever go down there, there's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Let us have faith that right makes might. Let us have faith in that. We are on the right side of history. Let that be the source of our might. Until then, let it be our cause to fight. You will find me on the front lines, and I'll be decked out in rainbow fabric. Thank you.